Hey class, this is Terry Tucker, and we are in week 5. So I wanted to show you something. Okay, so we're in week 5, and you have a unique assignment due this week. Unique because it's different from the rest. Hey, I've also opened up week 6 for you guys in case you wanted to work ahead on your race assignment. So in week 5, you have the normal gist, like review the module objectives so you know what we're supposed to be covering this week. Then read chapter 5 in the textbook, and then read the online lectures for the week. What is psychological anthropology? What is gender, ethnomedicine, globalization, and change? And then you're going to be doing a genital cutting assignment. A genital cutting fits into well, it's your opportunity to apply cultural relativism, because this is a hot button topic. People feel very, very strongly about this topic, and rightly so. There's a lot of evidence out there that the original trait for genital cutting is no longer adaptive. But you have to apply the processes or the concepts of cultural relativism and understand how this trait might have arose originally within the culture, and understand how those who use this trait of genital cutting, what purpose it serves, and understand it from an emic perspective, understanding it from the concerns and the values and the words of those individuals that use it themselves. So you need to do well in this assignment, you need to define the cultural trait of genital cutting and discuss two examples of its practice in contemporary cultures. For example, cutting the foreskin of the male penis in infant boys in contemporary Jewish and Christian societies is an example of genital cutting. Cutting a female genital cutting of girls in some countries in Africa, they're usually pastoralist and horticulturalists, and that's important to understand that the mode of production of the country is going to influence the religion, and the religion is going to influence the cultural trait. And you need to understand why, how that trait grew up within that culture. So those are examples of two contemporary cultures that practice it. And you can find information on female genital and cutting in your textbook by turning to the back of the book and looking up FGC or female genital cutting in the index. I can give you specific pages because you guys are all using different versions from 3 to the first version. And I want you to research your examples for this genital cutting assignment. Your sources do not have to be peer-reviewed, but you need to note whether it's peer-reviewed or a blog or a video or a YouTube video. Popular press articles are okay, but you need to talk about what's their agenda. So if it's a popular press, usually their agenda is that FGC is horrible, it's a human rights issue, and they have an agenda to push. If you go for a scholarly or a peer-reviewed article, what is peer-reviewed? It means that you're finding it from journal databases. So you go to up here at the top where it says CCS libraries, and you click on that, and you click on the SFCC library, and then you want to go to article and reference database, and then you want to go to JSTOR. And you click on that. That provides journal articles, and then you want to do female genital cutting. And here you go. Here's a great example. Being victims or beneficiaries. Perspectives on female genital cutting and reinfibulation in Sudan. If you see a check mark, that means that you have it. You have access to this content. And the reason why you should, and have it change the instructions to say you have to have one peer review and one non-peer reviewed yet, but I might in the future. The reason why is I want people to look at it from, could there be some benefit, some other reason why this trait has evolved? If everybody thinks that it's heinous and it's a human right issue, why did it arise in the first place? What's the point of it? So, are there stages of change in the practice of female genital cutting? These would be interesting articles to read for looking at the other side, from the EMIC perspective, understanding it within the terms and the values of the culture itself. And that's how it's a very difficult assignment, because we all know, based on our Western tradition and our Western culture, American culture, we think that this is, it's a no-brainer. FGC is horrible. But when you start really understanding it within the terms and the concern of that culture itself, I'm not saying that it's valuable, I'm just saying just understanding it, not condoning it, not saying yes, thumbs up. I'm just saying trying to understand it, how it arose. Then you're actually practicing cultural relativism, and you're stepping outside, you're acknowledging your own prejudices. You still have your own ideas about it, that's right, that's fine, but you have to practice the concept of cultural relativism. So you might want to explore these articles, okay? What else do you need to know about this assignment? Let me go back to it. Week 5. And I will also want you to think about, so not all of your sources have to be peer-reviewed. It might be a fun contrast to do a popular article, which has a very definite bent, a reason for it being written, versus a peer-reviewed. But when you analyze your sources, use the critical thinking questions to help you think about those sources and what their point of the article might have been, what their hidden agenda is. And if you want to, you can use your textbook as one of your sources. So I'm being very, very lenient on your research, okay? So when you write your sources, be sure to list them at the bottom of your assignment, okay? And I think what I might do is post an example here in week 5 for you guys to look at, okay? I think that's a good idea. So in your brief discussion, please address the history, if you can, the context, and the specific mechanics of who's doing the genital cutting, such as who's doing it, at what age individuals are cut, and the mechanics of the cutting. And if you can, when I refer to history, I mean, like, was the age of the person, of the individual who's being cut, was it always at 6? Did it used to be at 16? Was it part of a rite of transition or a rite of passage? Which ties into our psychological anthropology theme this week. I also would like you to analyze genital cutting using the theoretical approaches of structuralism and human agency. And if you have to, please review those concepts in Chapter 1 of your textbook. Some of you used that in your answers last week when you were looking at death without weeping, My Mother's Love, Death Without Weeping. That's fantastic. And that's what you're looking at. Do people who practice FGC or genital cutting within their culture, do they even know why they're doing it? Is it part of human agency, or is it reflective of the structures of their culture itself? There are examples of people who are educated in the United States who fly back to Africa and have FGC performed, and that's practicing human agency. There are examples of individuals who are having it done who have no choice because they're children, and that probably is reflective of the structures of the culture. So I want you to analyze these cultural traits from the perspective of human agency and structuralism. And if you're confused, come on in. If you're confused about that, please please review my post in last week's discussion forum. Okay, and lastly, you're not required to respond to anybody's post on this assignment, but if you'd like to, please go ahead. And I've listed some questions here for you to get started, but you do not have to use these in your discussion. So these are just some questions to get you thinking about why is female genital cutting in the eyes of most of the world a more controversial practice than male circumcision? Think about that. Could it be ethnocentric at all from a Western point of view? Especially if you start reviewing peer-reviewed sources and you find out that FGC can be an example of human agency in some circumstances. All right, and then if you go through the week 5 lectures, I do have a discussion on FGC, and it's right here in the week 1, right here. But I also, what's interesting is I provide this video on FGC, which is very kind of controversial, because, well, not controversial, but in the sense it's you know, it's graphic. But I'm also going to post, I thought I already had it here, an example of FGC from a person who has a PhD in anthropology, and she flew back to Africa to have it done, and her experiences of it. So I'll post that right now. All right, so if you have any questions, please send me an email or send me a text or get in touch with me, okay? All right, that's it. Thank you. Bye.